What's going on, gardeners? It's Saturday, April 16th, and spring has settled in here on the southeastern coast of North Carolina. Today, I'm going to show all of you 3 different things that you should do to your tomato plants after planting that your tomato plants will love you for. So let's get on with it. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell to receive new video notifications, and check out our Amazon storefront and spread shop in the video description for a list of the gardening products I use and awesome custom designed apparel and other gear. Your support is greatly appreciated. I planted the indeterminate tomato plants in this bed about 2 weeks ago, and since then they have become well rooted, they've become much larger, and they are standing up straight. But as a result, they put on so much new growth that they have leaves that are lying all over the ground. The thing that makes tomatoes so difficult to grow is that they are highly susceptible to both airborne and soil-borne diseases. And the #1 way to transmit disease to tomato plants is to have their foliage lying on the ground like this, because every time it rains and every time you water your tomato plants, you will splash soil on the leaves of the tomato. And that is what you can see happening there. And that will transmit all kinds of fungal and bacterial diseases to the tomato earlier in their lifespan than would have otherwise happened if you would have kept them up off the ground and away from the splash zone. So the first thing that we're going to do that our tomato plants will absolutely love us for is get them up off the ground. Get your tomato plants growing vertically. I don't really care how you do it. You can use standard tomato stakes. You can tie them up to some type of cattle panel or fencing, or you could do what I'm going to do, and you can use the string trellising method, which uses double tomato hooks with a synthetic nylon twine, because the nylon twine, it doesn't shred or expand when it gets wet. And then we will be securing it with these double tomato hooks right here. And I've showed you how to do this in the past. I'll link to a video above that is a full tutorial on how to do that. And I also have all of these items linked in my Amazon storefront down in the video description. Now, these tomato hooks that I'm using are going on their 3rd season, and they're still as good as new. All you have to do is you just have to unravel the twine a few times so it's long enough to reach the bottom of the tomato plant. And then once you get an appropriate height, you simply hook them on some type of overhead trellis. And that right there is going to be the perfect height for the tomato. So once you get the string at the right height, all you do is you take the double tomato hook and then you clamp the twine down. That holds it in place. And then you put it right underneath one of these leaf nodes, and then you hook it onto it, and then that will hold the tomato plant in place. And it really is that simple. The second thing that we're going to do that our tomato plants will absolutely love us for is prune off all of the leaves that are lying on the ground, because as I mentioned, they are going to easily transmit disease to the rest of the plant. So we're going to use a clean pair of pruners that I have washed off with hot soapy water. And as you can see, this leaf is lying in the ground. So we're going to cut that one off completely. We also have a leaf back here that is lying on the ground. And we're also going to snap off this low sucker right here. We won't need that. And then this leaf right here is also susceptible to being splashed. So we're going to cut that off. And I'm also going to remove this sucker right here, because I don't want this sucker to grow up and be another main stem. If I do want a second main stem, I want it to happen much higher up on the tomato plant. Now what we will do is eventually we will remove every single leaf that is below the first flower cluster, because they are most susceptible to being splashed. But I'm not going to do that yet, because I need this leaf node to hold this string trellis in place to support the plant. Eventually, once the plant gets older, I will move this tomato hook up to this leaf node right here, and then I will remove this clamp here, and I will remove this leaf node. But for the time being, I need it for structural support. And the third thing that we are going to do that our tomato plants are going to love us for is add a compost and mulch layer around the base of all of our plants. And we are going to do this for 3 reasons. #1, this is going to add organic matter to our soil that is going to slowly break down over time, improve our soil, and not only feed the plants, but also feed all the good bacteria, good fungi and all of the worms and beneficial insects that live in our soil. Number two, it is going to protect the top layer of the soil from the UV rays of the sun. So it's going to prevent all of those microbes that are beneficial from basically being bleached and killed. So it protects our soil and it keeps the soil microbiome healthy. And number three, it will maintain even soil moisture. It will do this by locking in any of the water in the soil by preventing evaporation. So every time it rains or every time it waters, it will keep that water in the ground longer, and your plants will be very happy for that. That also helps prevent blossom end rot, because that is generally caused by uneven watering practices. So the thicker the compost and mulch layer, the lower your risk of having blossom end rot on your plants. So we want to place a layer of compost. I'm using cow manure compost, but you can use any kind of compost that you have or that you can find. We want to place a layer of about 1 to 2 inches down around the base of the plant in a circular pattern, just like I'm showing you right now. And now we're going to place the mulch layer. And I am using hardwood bark mulch as my mulch. You don't have to use hardwood bark mulch. You can use any kind of mulch. If you don't want to pay for mulch, you can use weed-free grass clippings. You can use chopped up leaves. Just whatever you do, don't use a dyed mulch and don't use a synthetic rubber mulch. Just make sure it is an all-natural mulch. That way it will break down and add organic matter to the soil as it decomposes. Adding a mulch layer to your tomato plants also helps prevent disease transmission to your tomato plants, and it does this by covering up the soil. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the fungal and bacterial infections that tomato plants get is from soil-borne bacteria and fungi splashing in the rain to the underside of your tomato leaves. So by putting a mulch layer down underneath your tomato plants, that helps block the soil, so there will be less harmful bacteria and fungi splashing to the undersides of your tomato leaves every time it rains and every time you water. And that right there are 3 quick, simple, and easy things you can do to your tomato plants after planting that they will absolutely love you for and will set you up for success throughout the season. So everybody, I sure hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you're notified when we release more videos like these. If you're curious about any of the products that I used in this video or that I use in my garden in general, they are all linked down below in my Amazon storefront in the video description. And while you're there, please check out my spread shop link for custom merch if you want to support the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video. Look at this very special dinner that we made Dale. We have a little lean bottom round steak with some steamed broccoli and some hard-boiled egg. All for Dale. He's been so good. Look at Mr. Good Boy sitting on his bed just waiting. He's lick-lipping. He's lick-lipping. Dale, can you go down? Okay, Dale. Hold on. Okay, buddy. Let's see if you like it. What do you think, handsome? Do you approve? Do you have that crazy look in your eye? Oh, that looks so good, Dale. Maybe I can get a little piece. Do you like the broccoli too? Oh, he's going for the meat. You can tell Mr. prefers the meat over the vegetables, just like Dad.